Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, August 28th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Not using a green screen today. I'm in my home office area, so this is my desk. Hope you like it. Trying to change it up again. Let me know if you like the bookshelf, the home office, green screen with different backgrounds. Just let me know, and I'll keep changing it up. And if you really want the TV behind me, maybe I'll try to figure out how to set something up from home like that. In any event, you want to stay tuned. We have a lot of things to talk to you about. SEOs are bracing themselves for the next big core update. There's some new Google Search Console features and changes that you want to be aware of. And there is a brand new data structure option available for you. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this video recap. First up, like we discussed, there is SEOs bracing themselves for the next big Google core update. It's been about 3 months and almost 4 months. So 3 months and like three weeks or so right now since the last Google core update, the May core update. That happened on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Bad joke. In any event, we usually get one of every 3 to 4 months, so it should be happening anytime now. I think we did have one last year in September, so you should expect another core update. Of course, with any big core update, rankings change significantly for a lot of your client sites, so brace yourself. SEOs are really getting anxious about it. It should be happening soon, and I guess mentally prepare for it. Google has a new Search Console feature, or I guess it's related to Search Console, where if you do have your site that is kicked out of Google search because of a malware, hack, or any security issue, Google's, in the US at least, going to allow you to report any potential false positives to them for a quick re-review. There's a new button in the help docs which lets you click on a report a security issue. When you click on that, it will let you go ahead and kind of request a review quicker. So a lot of sites actually have experience getting kicked out of the index because of hack issues or malware issues and security issues in Google search. And that should help you get back into index faster if you fix the issues or if it's a false positive. New Google structured data is available. It's the Google home activities. It's basically things that you could do from home, like workouts, yoga sessions, etc. Whatever you might do from home. They're video and online live instructions. So if you offer video classes that you can subscribe to, or if you offer live online classes, for that, you can use new structured data called home activities to mark it up. It's currently only available right now in the, I think, US English mobile results. And it's mostly right now only for fitness related searches like online exercises, yoga at home, and so forth. So if you are interested in this, it basically is a new markup. And if you're offering those services or your clients are offering those services, you definitely want to take a look at that. Another change with Google Search Console is that they have a new update to the Datasets enhancement report. So Datasets, basically, if you have a lot of data on your site, you can actually use Dataset structured data, structure markup to mark up those datasets for Google to properly show it in a richer way in the Google search results. So now Google's requiring or giving warnings, not requiring, but giving warnings if you do not have a creator property attribute on your dataset structured data. So if you do have datasets enhancements and you're not using the creator property, Google will show you a warning in Google Search Console. So you may see a spike in warnings with that report. Google Search Console may be hinting at showing feature snippet reporting. We saw this a couple times. It's kind of all related, but basically where Google will show in the performance report, if you want to go ahead and filter by the text parameter, where the text anchor down, where if you click on a feature snippet and it highlights the page and scrolls you down to that piece of section, in some instances, specifically in the images, where you click on the images, it would actually go ahead and pass along that data to Google Search Console and show you that information in the URL string. So you can actually go ahead and filter those reports, the performance reports, to see the scroll to text URLs in there by using like a text equals URL filter on the page parameters. Now, it probably is a bug. I don't think it's going to be out there, but maybe there's a hint that Google could actually go ahead and give us feature snippet filters in the performance report. That would be great. Bing said that XML sitemaps really should include your main ranking pages and main category pages. Dawn Anderson posted that some developer told her that we can't really include those because of technical issues, and it's not really important because the main pages are indexed anyway by Google. Bing confirmed, no, you do want to make sure to include those main pages in your XML sitemap. I assume Google would confirm the same thing. It's not a requirement, but it does help, and you want to go ahead and include those main pages. John Mueller said that links from Wikipedia does nothing for your site and has no value. I'll quote you exactly what he said at Reddit. He said, randomly dropping links into Wikipedia has no SEO value and will do nothing for your site. All you're doing is creating extra work for Wikipedia, for the Wikipedia maintainers who will remove your link drops. It's a waste of your time and theirs. Do something that's useful in the long term for your site instead of build something persistent value. All right, so now some SEOs were like, well, if you don't randomly drop links into Wikipedia, then it's fine. But just dropping links into Wikipedia in a non-random way is okay. Of course, you want to get links from Wikipedia, but Wikipedia's links, all the external links are no-followed. No-follow links have no SEO value. Google may start using them for hints around spam techniques, but they're not going to go ahead and pass value, especially from Wikipedia because they're no-followed. Of course, SEOs don't believe that, but here's John Mueller saying that, and of course, people harp on the word randomly. It doesn't matter if it's a random no-follow link or a random follow link, a no-follow link, random or not, doesn't pass value. That's by definition. You could think Google lies, that's fine, but to call out the word random versus non-random, it doesn't make a difference, at least in terms of the definition of a no-follow link. John Mueller went into a conversation about changing the last mod date either on the page, in your structured data, or in XML sitemaps. I know in XML sitemaps it says if Google learns that they can trust the last mod date that you put there, they'll stop respecting it. So you don't want to change your page too frequently. The question was, if a CMS constantly updates its last mod date, even for small changes, is that a dangerous thing? Could it hurt you? And John Mueller said, really, don't worry about it. It'll be fine across all those things. So it's an interesting topic. I never seen people like worried that if they change the last mod date too often, that it would actually cause issues. But in short, I don't think it will. Unless you're trying to trick Google. So about a year ago, I think last September 2019, Google came out with a new controls for snippets. So you have like the no snippet robot meta tag, you have the max snippet number, so how many snippets you could have, the max image preview, so how big your image preview could be in your snippet, and the data no snippet attribute as well. Now, Google sent out a post last Friday evening, basically saying this could be used for retailers as well. There's nothing new with it. It's just a reminder. I asked Google, it's like, this is old. Why are you posting this? And they basically said, it's a reminder, especially for the holiday season, the shopping holiday season. We want to remind retailers that they could use these options as well. And what are the restrictions around that if they're using Google Merchant Center and so forth. So just keep it ahead. If you are retailers, you have control over your snippets. You can use those same snippets that came out last September around that. Google talked about the bandwidth benefit to using JPEG versus webp. WebP is basically an image format that really does reduce file size and performance. But basically, John Mueller and SEOs are saying there is no real big performance boost in terms of speed for small normal sites that include web.p versus JPEG. But if you're a massive site that has massive images like Pinterest or Shutterstock and stuff like that, it could save you a dramatic amount of bandwidth around crawling and stuff like that. So you should use it for sites if you want to, inch out every little piece of bandwidth cost, but you don't really need to unless you're a really, really big site. Glenn, Gabe, and Martin Split posted the next SEO myth-busting video from Google. Really nice setup. And they really did a deep dive into site migrations. One of my favorite parts was the food truck analogy by Martin Split about if a food truck keeps moving from location to location, does that impact the actual food or customer service and so forth? That's a big question. And Google has to analyze that when the site moves as well. And there's different types of site moves and so forth. So definitely take a look at that video. They go really deep. It's actually the longest SEO myth-busting video to date. So it's about 20 minutes or so. This is interesting. So in the Search Off the Record podcast with Gary, Martin, and John from Google, Gary brought up the Sandbox from 2004. He said this is before Gary joined Google. Gary didn't join Google until I think 2011. Sandbox was 2004. keep that in mind. But he was in the SEO industry. He was doing SEO. And he basically said, if he recalls correctly, the sandbox theory wasn't, when he looked into the notes that he saw a long, long time ago, he said it was probably a reaction or an action or it was probably something related to like an offset of that, of not ranking related. People thought it was ranking, where Google wouldn't rank a new site for a while just because they couldn't trust it. He said it was more probably related to how Google indexed stuff and showed that content in index. So if you missed the boat with an indexing update, Google would not show that for a month or two. I don't think that's correct. Sorry, Gary. I know you think I don't know anything, but it just didn't seem correct. And it could be months and months and months, not just 1 month, not just 60 days. It could be like 6 months back in the day for a new site to rank. So I'm not sure if that's correct per se, but again, Gary was not at Google at that time, but he said he did remember looking at some notes around that. And I'm not sure why that came up, but it came up in the podcast. You should definitely listen to it. It's pretty interesting. Google has a new video search results snippet carousel. It looks like they're testing it out with TikTok, or it's actually live with TikTok. It's pretty cool. I'll show a screenshot of it so you can take a look at that as well. Google had this week the Google Virtual Webmaster Unconference. It was pretty interesting. We had about 10 to 20 or so people per session. It was basically, you got put into either one or two sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, as well as some like networking event sessions before and after. And I was put in a couple sessions, one on WordPress Sidekick and one on Google's documentation. And the one on documentation was pretty interesting, and also was a site kit. But I asked one question about how often or what's the process of Google updating the documentation around search, and they basically said most of it is like 60 to 80% of that is reactive, meaning somebody complains or something happens, and they go ahead and have to update those documentations. About 20 to 40% of those updates are done proactively, where Google's going to release something new, and they want to make sure to have those docs out there. Interesting little snippet for you. John Mueller posted a poll about himself based off a Reddit thread saying, do SEOs blindly trust John Mueller? And the poll was pretty interesting. If you remove the funny question, 43% said they do not believe John Mueller blindly. 28% said they do believe him blindly. And 28% they said they sometimes do believe him blindly. That's actually increased from back in the day in 2012, where we asked if Google lies. Only 14% of SEOs trusted Google back then. So Google's doing a better job, it looks like, of increasing trust. Google Ads is testing this new shopping ad format where if you overlay your mouse over an image, it would actually rotate the image slowly to a different image. That's pretty cool as well. Google AdSense is upgrading their reporting. It's rolling out now. You might get it in a week or two, according to Google AdSense. It's made to improve reporting and so forth. There are some limitations there. So if you are an AdSense publisher, you definitely want to take a look at that update. And Danny Sullivan from Google said there has been no change to the number of new searches Google sees on a daily basis. That number is still 15% of all queries that Google sees on a daily basis are new. So that's an interesting stat. That stat has been around since 2013, but in 2007, that stat was actually 25% of all queries. That changed in 2013 to 15% of all queries. I honestly think it would be higher now because of COVID. I did ask him to look into it to say, hey, did anything change this year in 2020 because of that? But I haven't heard back yet. It would be interesting to see. Just an interesting tidbit. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Again, leave your feedback, comments below. Like this, share it, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you guys next. Goodbye.